Greetings from the Corporate Interface Cell and a very warm welcome to Business Edge 4.0, 6 Industries, 1 Podcast. The Corporate Interface Cell is the corporate club of NMIMS ASM SOC. It strives to bridge the gap between the student body and the corporate world by providing them a breakthrough into the business world. I, Sakshi Veera, present to you an episode on the ever-evolving industry of the corporate world, the energy industry. If you are someone who is intrigued about how the marketing world looks like and how does it relate to customer satisfaction, you are certainly at the very right place. Today, we have with us Ms. Bhairavi Popat, Head of Customer Transformation and Innovation at BP Global Business Services. She has 20 plus years of experience in the corporate world, starting as a management trainee at Castrol, moving on to a brand manager, followed by a product and process manager to VP and to her current role. The company operates in oil, natural gas, and various other energy-related products and services. With a strong focus on innovation, customer excellence, and environmental responsibility, BP continues to be a major player in the ever-evolving global energy landscape. Ma'am, it's truly an honor to have you on board for today's episode.
Thanks for having me.
Segment, I would like to ask you, since you have a broad cross-functional experience in various areas, what inspired you to choose your career trajectory in this field and tap new roles from time to time?
So Sakshi, I actually joined Castrol straight from campus. So Castrol's part of BP globally. I joined the Castrol India team from campus. And as a part of the first year, you go through a management trainee stint where you have an exposure to different functions, working through sales, marketing. I also spent some time in supply chain. And for me, I think that was really a formative time. It helped me realize that it is important to build those connectors, understand the value chain, and see how things work together in the business world. So for me, it's really been about making a choice. Every career move has been about, can I add value to the role and can the role add value to me? So that's really been how I've decided the different moves that I've made through the years.
The two questions that you asked yourself, they quite explicitly show us the importance of having a symbiotic relationship of give and take in the corporate world. Also, while going through your profile, one thing that caught my attention was your role as the brand manager of the flagship brand of Castrol. How do you see that role and your previous role as a stepping stone to your current role, and how are the previous roles from your current role?
So it's quite an interesting question, right? I mean, if you would have asked me 20 years ago, would I be doing what I'm doing right now? I would probably not have the answer, right? So for me, typically it's been about finding those roles that keep adding value, keep helping me build new skill sets or enhance the ones that I've already built in previous roles. So I started off in sales, and that was extremely useful because it helped me understand customers up close and personal, right? And you also then understand how strategy actually gets deployed in practice. So that was an important there. Building on that, I think my move in supply chain really helped me understand how the entire value chain operates. What does really sort of go on in the background to make a product available in market at the right time, at the right place, right? So that for me, I think was a great learning experience. Building on that, when I then moved into brand marketing and did that for 5 years in different portfolios, it really sort of helped me understand and appreciate, okay, what are the ops that go on in the background? But within those roles, I think it was also about understanding consumer and customer insights, crafting your programs, crafting your propositions based on those, and then also sort of realizing how an integrated campaign is really important to deliver what you want to, right? So I can have the best product, but if I don't have the right communication, I don't have the right on-ground activation, it doesn't sort of all together. So I think that helped build that foundation of the importance of insights. When I then sort of look at the roles that I did in ASPAC or in global marketing teams, it was being able to appreciate different cultures, different nuances, how each market is different from the other, but use the foundations that I built in the first 10 years in Castrol India roles to be able, right? And where I am today is really, I would say, all of it culminating in some shape and form. Eventually, I sort of realized customer experience was really something that was important for me, and hence the role today.
You have had quite a journey, ma'am. It was quite inspiring hearing about your learning experiences from your role. Moving on to next question, I would like to ask you, as we know, marketing is quite a dynamic field, trends keep on changing so quickly. How do you see this field evolving over a period of time, and which are the basic fundamentals that have been retained over the years?
So yeah, I mean, it has evolved. The nature
Yeah.
and shape of things has changed, but in some shape and form, you see some of those similar concepts come back, maybe in different ways and articulated differently. So 4Ps, I think all of you know 4Ps, and then how it sort of evolved. But for me, I would say, and I've said this before, again, I think insights by far is the most fundamental and basic element that you really need to consider. You can do everything right, you can get everything perfectly done, but if it's not built off the right insight, it doesn't really help you succeed. So for me, I would say that's one fundamental that's remained and will continue to remain regardless of what you do.
That's very rightly mentioned that insights are very helpful. Even doing the market research and having the insight of what your customers really want is quite important. At the end, customer is the king of the market, and each company makes tremendous efforts to increase the customer satisfaction. So most of the companies make tremendous efforts and they use key performance indicators to gauge the success of the process, right? So can you expand on the KPIs that you have been using?
So it really depends on the area or the transformation that you're looking to gauge, right? So KPIs could vary. For example, in a particular transformation, it could be simply about getting your distribution, getting your productivity metrics right. But for me, I would say that from a customer experience perspective, especially, there is one which is the net promoter score, which tells you your promoters versus detractors and that net score that comes out of it. So that really tells you how strong your offer is. But the second one I would say that's gaining momentum very quickly is the customer effort score. And especially with digital the way it is today, I would say there is no reason for organizations to make things difficult for customers. So how do you reduce the effort that they are putting in, especially when they are time poor and there's so many things that are going on around you?
Also, measuring and analyzing these KPIs has become much more easier with the advent of technology. Today, being tech savvy is considered one of the biggest green flags of the corporate world. So, what according to you does technology play in customer innovation, and how do you leverage it to create a cutting edge solution for your customers?
I think part of the answer is in your question itself. It's really sort of saying that you have the data.
Yeah.
Digital makes it so much easier to be able to look at the data, to analyze, to understand trends, and hence generate those insights that I was talking about earlier. So for me, the first part is really using data that you have, using digital to generate those insights, and being able to, even in some cases, mass personalize the offers that you put out there. And then the second part of it is really sort of using technology to create offers that make sense for people. Can you imagine in today's world you have an offer which is purely offline? It's really sort of impossible. So I would say that using technology, e-commerce platforms, instant payment solutions, there's a whole lot of things that you can pull together to create a seamless consumer journey for you.
Technology has been creating a revolution in the corporate industry. The next question I would like to ask you is, you have been with BP since the very start of your corporate journey. How does it feel to have an entire journey from a beginner to a leader within the same organization? And how do you keep your work so much more fresh and exhilarating after so many years?
So you're not the first person asking me this question. I actually stopped going to alumni meets after a point in time because everyone would look at me and still with Castrol, still with BP. Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's really been about the fact that every few years there's been a new role coming in.
Yeah.
In about 2 decades, I've done nearly 9 roles out there. So every time you're sort of going through and changing the roles that you're working on, you're changing the dimensions in which you're operating, right? So like I said, I've spent time in sales, supply chain, marketing, operations, ASPAC roles, global roles, and now really sort of focusing on the whole customer side of things. So for me, it's really been about changing that dimension of what you're working on, getting new experiences. The other thing I would say is one big sort of advantage of working in an organization like this is the opportunity to work on projects, right? So my core day job could be really something else, but I'm working on projects which are in a completely new area altogether. What that does is really allows you to make those new connections, new networks, understand new things, and contribute to new things as well. And that keeps it exciting for me every single day.
Your journey and your transition to these different 9 roles within the same organization is really a great source of motivation, ma'am. last question I would like to ask you is, as a woman in leadership position, what words of encouragement would you like to offer to young women out there to confidently pursue leadership roles given within the aspect of a patriarchal outlook in the society?
Yeah, I mean, there's no replacement for self-belief. I would say trust in yourself, trust in your skill sets, and that's really important. And the second important one for me is always reaching out to people to ask for help when you really need it. And equally, when you're in a position to help others, make sure that you do that as well, because I feel that it really sort of adds value to other people and helps you develop yourself. So for me, I would say believe in yourself and reach out for help when you need it.
I completely agree that being bold enough to ask for help is the biggest quality to have. Being a woman myself, young woman myself, aspiring to get into the corporate world, it really inspires and motivates me when I see women like you in leadership position achieving great heights in the corporate world. With this, we come to the end of our first segment. Thank you for such an insightful conversation. Now, let us buckle up and move towards the fun segment of our podcast, starting with a very favorite rapid fire round. So, I will be asking you a few questions and we expect a swift and witty answers from you.
I don't know about witty, I'll try and be quick.
Yeah, we can try. So, the first question is office culture or work from home?
Hybrid. Clearly hybrid.
That's interesting. In-house development or outsourcing?
Depends on the situation.
Okay. A common misconception on leadership you would like to disclose?
Leaders have all the answers. That's the biggest misconception ever.
One advice to your younger self?
Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay. Your definition of success?
Being happy.
One Indian startup that amazed you?
Well, I don't know about amaze, but one that impacts my daily life, Swiggy.
Yeah, correct. If you had to choose another career for yourself, what would it be?
Probably something in art or something to do with food.
Yeah, creative. So that was a swift round, ma'am. I think I've been doing most of the questioning now, so why not shift to what the audience wants to know?
Okay.
So these are few frequently appearing questions that we have, and so let's delve into the next segment that is called CIC Wants to Know.
Okay.
So I will be revealing the questions. The first one is, does a particular movie or a TV show resonate with you?
That's a difficult one, right? For me, movies, TV shows are sort of the time when you switch off your brain and you're just relaxing, right?
Okay.
So I wouldn't say there is a particular TV show that resonates with me, but I love watching mysteries.
Interesting. The next question says, does your day have a secret hack for handling an overflowing mailbox, or is it a perpetual game of catch up?
The hack that people close to me have realized is reach out to me on Teams, send me an instant message, don't rely on me to catch up on emails.
Okay. Does the corporate ladder still exist, or are we all in a corporate jungle gym right now?
That's quite an interesting question. I would say, initially if you would have asked people, they would have said ladder.
Yeah.
But for me, I think it looks more like a jungle gym because you do want to build your muscle, you do want to sort of try out different things and have fun while you're doing it.
I completely agree. Does your organization have any traditions that are unique to your culture?
I don't know if you'd call it tradition, but I would say from a value point of view, safety is one of our biggest values, and that's something that uniquely stands out, right? And if you speak to any newcomer, so I've been here for over 2 decades, but any newcomer that you speak to, that's the first thing that they'll tell you, that that's something that resonates with them, which is very different than other organizations.
The last question says, does the concept of work-life balance hold true even at the executive level?
I suppose it holds true at any level, right? And it's more to do with what life stage are you at, what are the responsibilities that you have at that point in time, even from a personal point of view, what is your situation then? So I don't think it's to do with levels, it's more to do with where you are at that point in life.
Okay, so we are done with this round, and keeping the excitement tucked in, I have an interesting question for you. How often do you use emoticons in your messages?
Very often.
Then certainly you are going to make the most of our next round. We love how emoticons make our messages so much more expressive. So we believe where words fail, emoticons speak. So now I will be asking you a few questions which you have to answer with these emoticons that we have.
Which ones do you have there?
Yeah, this one says happy. Okay. Happy. The next one is angry. Face palm emoji.
That's a very commonly used one, I have to say.
No comments. Okay. And surprised. So here you go.
But you want me to hold this?
Thank you.
Yeah.
So my first question is your reaction to a last minute urgent meeting request. Face palm. Your favorite emoji is the first one. How do you feel about your mail inbox right now? No comments. Okay. Your opinion to growth of gig economy. Happy. Your reaction to increased use of blockchain technology to improve transparency in various industries.
It's more a wait and watch. I don't know which emoji does that, but let's go with maybe
Happy?
yeah.
Cool. Emoticons did add so much flair to our conversation, right?
Yeah.
I think I've asked many industry-based questions, so now we would like to ask more about you with our next segment, that is Beyond the Boardroom. So
Okay.
I'll take it aside. Yeah. So the first question says, what is the one thing that you believe is true that most people don't?
I don't know. I mean, I can't say that there is something that people believe or don't believe and I believe in, but I would say the power of serendipity for me, I think.
Oh, wow. Interesting. How do you feel about horoscopes?
Don't give them a second thought.
Okay. One skill that you feel can never be mastered.
Perfection.
Perfection. Okay, so with this we come to the end of today's podcast episode. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your prompt responses and insights in this field. I'm sure our viewers have a lot to take back from today's episode and have learned so much more from your past experiences in marketing, sales, and customer excellence. Thank you so much, ma'am, for your precious time. It was a pleasure hosting you today.
Thank you so much for having me.